Hello, Alan.
Hello, Mafanway. How are you?
Good. Look at your hair. Turn to the side, like you're in a 1980s film clip. Other side.
Other side. It's
That's better.
the one that it reminds me of is John Lydon's haircut in the Rise video. I may be wrong, I may be right, but it was orange.
You could be black, you could be white.
Right. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
May the wrong rise with
Right,
you.
yeah. Hey, how are you?
I am really, really good. There's been some big developments in the household here in my house over the last couple of days. Do you want to know all about it?
Yes, please.
I've just
Yes,
gone
more than anything.
I'm wearing a Mad Cat Lady shirt at the
Yeah.
moment. So I've gone that far. Like I've got animal ornaments and all of that. And I thought, look, the cat stuff's gone far enough. It's time to take on something else in the household. 2 seconds.
This is. I wonder if there's an Adopt an Elephant program or something like that. Actually, there is an Adopt an Elephant program. She's gone. Oh! Oh my
Look,
God!
I know. Isn't
What's
she
his or her
beautiful?
name?
Her name is Vivian, and
Oh,
it's spelt like Vivian from the Young Ones, Vyvyan. Isn't she beautiful? She's having
Vivian, look at you. Oh, wow.
Oh, I
Look,
know.
I reckon, what do we normally have a chat for about 30 minutes? I reckon we just look at her for 30 minutes and
That'll
go,
make
oh,
everybody's day. I know. Isn't she beautiful?
she's so
She's
beautiful. Where did you get her?
she's like we got it from a person who had puppies, and yeah, it was like we think she's got, well, she's beagle, but she's got a bit of other things in there. I don't know what that is. Is that cattle dog or kelpie? I'm not
I don't
sure.
know. I don't know a lot about dogs. All I know about dogs is from watching Bluey. So I think they talk and eat dim sums. So my
That
knowledge
sounds
about...
like me. I better go and put her back because she needs to sleep.
Okay. Oh, wow. That is super cool. Because I know a lot of people are fostering. A lot of people are fostering puppies at the moment.
I know. Well, they're fostering all sorts of dogs. I wanted to get a big rescue dog. That was the key. That was always, because I've had a rescue dog before, and my cats are rescue cats. But because I've got the 2 cats, there's no way I couldn't not get a puppy, and puppies are impossible to find at the moment, even on the rescue front, which is wonderful news. So yeah, we got that little puppy, and she's amazing, but the cats are furious, so it's all on in the house. But I've gone full mad lady, mad animal lady now. It's over.
So I don't think 3 animals is mad. What's that thing that's on Netflix about, like, the weird, polyamorous guys who live with white tigers? Now that's weird.
Yeah, that's why I'm wearing this shirt. It's my Tiger King shirt. I would never breed big cats, let's be honest. That is inhumane.
I wish I could watch things like that, because I know people find them incredibly entertaining. But I find the fact that people can talk about themselves so freely, and yet they are so bizarre. Maybe I'm the wrong person to be saying this. Maybe this is exactly what I'm doing now is what they're doing, apart from the fact that I don't have a bikini on and am not a white tiger.
That's right.
So,
No, you're onto something there. That's the point. That's what makes them so endlessly entertaining to watch, is that they're missing that bit that makes you go, oh, that's a bit, probably shouldn't say that, or that's a bit over the top, or that might come across as a bit crazy. They're missing all that. And that's what makes it greatly entertaining to watch documentaries like Tiger King, but it's also really sad. Like, part of you is going, oh, is this taking advantage of people who just have no filter, or is it something else? And yeah, I started out this isolation and I watched Tiger King and I loved it. I was like, oh, because it was bonkers and crazy. But then as isolation's gone on, it's like, oh, maybe it was a bit too bonkers. But all I was looking for at that time was something that was bonkers and a bit crazy and just unbelievable, layer after layer after layer of drama. So yeah, it's a funny one, that one. I feel a bit not sure about Tiger King now.
I've always had a problem with that sort of thing. And what was the first? So the first ever reality show was, what was it called? The Australian
Sylvania Waters, Alan.
Oh, I was still living in New Zealand when this came on. So one of the things
I loved it. I loved it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I can only imagine how much the Warhurst household went into overdrive, because you would have been like 14, 15?
No, it was early 90s. So I was in my late teens at that point. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, did you just lost your mind?
Yeah, lost my mind. But before we get to that, speaking of late teens, round about 20, there's something going on the internet at the moment where they're getting you to show you at 20. And I just had this on beside my computer because I figured, because I was doing something else with it, but that's me at 20, Alan. Have a look at the Roman sandals.
Oh,
the 90s waistcoat for a top, and the choker beads. How good.
You know, and I mean, I genuinely mean this, apart from the choker beads and the Roman sandals, and let's all be thankful, you don't look a huge amount different.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. But tell me about Sylvania Waters when you saw it.
Oh, well, I just remember it coming on and everyone in my flat, my share house, just losing their minds. They loved it. And I watched it and I just thought, how can people act like this while being filmed? I mean, we all do things that we, upon reflection, go, "Are you a fucking idiot?" But for those people, what was amazing about it was now lots of people don't have any filter, but that's because they've watched other people with no filter, and they're sort of, it's almost like the second group of people in the Big Brother house were impersonating the first group of people in the Big Brother house.
Yes,
but Maureen, or whatever her name was, what was her name? The matriarch of the...
It was Laurie and...
Nolene.
Laurie was the partner. Was it Maureen? I don't know. Nolene. She had a single too, you might remember. Released a song.
No.
Yeah. Filmed out the front of Sydney Harbour Bridge. It was a beauty. Look it up if you've got something, you've got nothing to do today. Look up Nolene. Was it Donna? Was her name, I think, and her single. I Only Take What's Mine, I think is what it's called by memory. Why I remember that, I'm not sure.
Well, why wouldn't you remember it? I mean, I only take what's mine.
See, let's have a look. Can we allowed to Google?
Anthem for shoplifters all around the world.
Donna, her song. Here we go. If I was wrong, No Regrets. That was it.
No Regrets.
No Regrets.
I wish it had been called I Only Take What I Want, because there's a lot of songs called No Regrets. Didn't In Excess have a song called No Regrets?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
I'm sure every Stock Aitken Waterman artist, like Kylie and Rick, what's his name, Ashley, had a song called No Regrets.
I think so too.
And on the B side of that was, oh dear, Regrets.
Sorry, I don't know what happened then. I haven't got the virus. I just got something down my wrong way.
No. Hopefully you're not allergic to the dog.
Oh my God, imagine that. I'd be right. I'd just sit around with hives all day. That's fine. I don't mind. Scratching.
With the cats looking at you going, take that, you bitch.
Yeah, you go, exactly.
Just sitting around scratching yourself going, oh, I love dogs. I love dogs.
Love dogs.
What was did your family have lots of pets?
Yeah, we had lots of pets when I was a kid. Horses as well. My uncle bred horses, of course. And this is a great story. He bred Appaloosas because he was a saxophone player. And Elvis's saxophone player was Boots Randolph. You know, the Benny Hill thing, that guy. That's Boots Randall. Now, he was Elvis's saxophone player, but Elvis bred Appaloosas. So my Uncle Neil, who was a saxophone player, decided he was going to breed Appaloosa horses. Long story short, we had loads of Appaloosa horses on our property as well. So, and I had a Western saddle, which was an American saddle. And no one in Australia has American saddles. And I remember going to a pony club once and feeling like very left out because I had a Western saddle, which is one of those big ones with a pommel that you can put your lasso on, and they're huge. Like, they're totally different to normal saddles. And I think all the girls thought I was a bit of a loser. Little did they know.
Yeah. Those bitches with their little saddles.
Their little saddles. Little did they know that, you know, Elvis Presley was cool. You can't convince 13-year-old girls that. So,
what was your horse called?
I had a horse called Flash. I had a horse called Bridget. I named these too. How good's that? Farley, Charlie Farley. He was the Appaloosa.
I just love the idea of Flash, and you've gone, okay, wait a minute. No, I don't think I've named this. I'm going to go for something more neutral so we can be surprised. Bridget.
Well, my cat's a Mervyn Steve, so, you know, I go with adult names for animals. And yeah, we had a few. We had a fair few. They sort of moved through because he'd pass them on to other people. He'd sell them on to other people.
Right. And did you have chooks and guinea pigs and all of that sort of thing?
Not really, nah, just dogs and cats, basically.
Right.
What about you? Did you grow? You don't have a pet there. You don't need one. You've got a small child.
Yeah, I'm allergic to her. I sit around basically scratching at my hives going, oh, 9-year-olds. We had, because there's an ongoing debate in the house about getting a dog, and this seems like a good time to get one. But yes, because we're all home all the fucking time. Okay, deep breath.
We've got to get onto that later too. How are you going? But anyway,
yeah.
Keep going.
So in my family, we had one pet ever. It was a green and yellow budgie. And we went straight to the source name-wise and called it Budgie. Not after the other creative member of Susie and the Banshees.
Budgie, the guitarist.
Yep. No, not after Budgie, after actual budgies. And one day, and I mean, this sounds like I'm making it up because it would be in a bad film. One day my brother and I went away to our grandmother's or something, and we came back and Budgie had disappeared. And we were told that Budgie had escaped and had gone to live with other birds. Now, budgies aren't native to New Zealand, so I don't know what other fucking birds it was going off to live with.
Oh, that sounds to me like the animal version, the dog version of going to live at the farm.
That's yeah.
The classic.
In New Zealand, one of the great ones was in the forestry. Oh, we sent it into the forestry.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, isn't it?
Just sent it off into the bush.
Yeah, just went feral. Yeah, so that was we only ever had Budgie, and Budgie evidently, yes, escaped, I presume, rolled around in mud and made himself look like a sparrow, and then just hung out with them for the rest of his days.
Oh, sounds like Budgie went off the perch and hung upside down to me. Oh, poor little Budgie. My Uncle Neil, who bred the horses, also had budgies. You'll be pleased to know. Yeah. And he was the president of the Budgie Club in Redcliffe, which is a small country town where I grew up in Victoria. And he won Best Budgie year after year because I feel like he might have been the only member as well.
Oh, Mev, I just want someone to write a book called President of the Budgie Club.
Budgie Club.
It doesn't have to even be about that. It just has to be called President of the Budgie Club.
Yeah.
And it just has to be a guy in a suit with just covered in budgies looking my great uncle Ginge, and who
Great
knows?
name.
Yeah, a great name. Fiery red hair. He kept canaries, and they had a big sort of cage. I don't know. Well, more than a cage, an enclosure, let's call it, out the back, and they had tons of canaries. But I hadn't seen them for a few years, and I was visiting Napier, where him and my great aunt lived. And I walked through the front gate because I was just going to, because I just was going around to visit them. I was there doing a thing. And he comes out, stands on the porch, and he throws half a brick at me.
What?
And he goes, "Put the newspaper in the box next time." And the newspaper boy had been missing the box and just throwing them over the fence. And so how Uncle Ginge, who kept canaries, was going to stop this boy or girl from throwing the newspaper into the front yard was to hiff a brick at them.
Old
in the
school.
afternoon. In the afternoon. So
when
the
they weren't even on their paper round.
No, the paper didn't get delivered in the afternoon. He obviously thought they were coming around for a social call and thought, I'll show them. And I said, it's Alan Bro. And he goes, "Oh, shit, you're not the paper boy at all." And I said, "No, I'm not." He said, "Oh, okay." Never apologised for hiffing the brick out.
It was that kind of discipline these days.
Well, this is the thing. And I also remember telling my mother about it, who just shook her head in the way that you do when you've known a person's been mad since the first time you ever met them. But I remember thinking later on, did he keep a stash of half bricks in the house? Like by the door?
He probably did.
So he saw someone coming he didn't like, just ran past the door, grabbed a brick, and just was ready to go straight at them.
Well, that's what happens when... Did he live at home a lot? Like, was he retired? Was he at home?
Yeah, he was retired with my Aunt Tooks.
Yep.
I think her name was Margaret, but I think that's true. So there was Tooks and Ginge and the Canaries.
And the Canaries. Because I reckon, because I'm getting a sense of it in isolation now, you do start to get a little bit, when you're at home a lot, you start to get a little bit what's going on outside. Like I've become Mrs. Mangles from Neighbours. Do you remember her? I'm like sneaking through. Who got a delivery today? What have they got over there? What are those people doing? Are they meeting? Like it's like you just, when your world becomes smaller, you do start to get a bit obsessed with what's going on in your very immediate vicinity. So I suspect those bricks were well planned because he's just got to the end of his tether and he's just like, I'll wait for that to happen. Because it's like us now. It's like me waiting for a delivery. I'm like, where are you, Australia Post? Where's my stuff?
And the great thing is if you're Mrs. Mangling, that because everyone's getting things delivered now, there's so many boxes coming, like, so we live in a smallish apartment block, but there's so many deliveries coming in that you're always looking at the box and going, what have you just ordered?
What is that?
I don't know. Is it a sex toy or a gun? I mean, those are not the only options that I'm considering. But do you know what I mean? Like, what sort of, is it records? Is it books? Is it something that's meant to look like books, but it's a sex toy gun? I mean, you know, obviously I've been drinking, but...
Good. What else is there to do? How are you going, though? Like, you're still homeschooling, doing all those things. How's isolation going?
Look, it's okay. The homeschooling thing is, we're getting through a bit of work. I mean, I get that my daughter I'm not a teacher. She knows I'm not a teacher. Once she said to me, she came home from school and she really liked school. She came home from school. She's a very social person, as you know. She came home from school and I said something. I said, can you just go and do that, please? I've asked you 5 times. Dad, I used up all my listening at school.
That's smart. I love that. She is fabulous.
Yeah. So I get it's really hard for her to stay motivated. We're trying to work out ways that she can see her friends occasionally. Like
Yeah.
they opened the library at school for an hour yesterday, and like 5 people were allowed in at a time.
Oh, that's
And
beautiful.
and she saw, so the parents all stood at different corners of the playground and shouted at each other about how things were going, and the kids were just playing. And
Oh,
she was in such a different frame of mind after that.
yeah.
That I think one of it's very difficult for children. We think that kids get things because they sort of seem to get them, and then you realise, no, they're not grasping the fullness of it. It's like, when you're talking to a 5-year-old about death, they go, "Oh yeah, yes." Yeah. So that, so the you go through
The farm.
Yeah. They've got it at the farm, or
Hello.
you go past a cemetery and they go, "What's that?" "Oh, well, that's where dead people are buried." "Oh yeah, I get that." They don't.
No.
They don't understand the enormity, the finality, and so But look, we're doing all right. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it's like if you accidentally had 18 children, for instance.
Yeah.
And you were
You'd be
all
a great
living.
teacher, Alton. I think you'd be great.
Hmm.
I think you'd be a great teacher.
Oh, thank you. That is a really lovely thing to say, because I've always appreciated teachers because I had some great teachers,
Mm.
but I certainly appreciate them a lot
A
more now.
lot more.
Yeah, but it is also really interesting because a number of people I've talked to have said to me, "Oh, I'd do anything a teacher told me to do, but when my parents told me to do something,
No,
no, I'd
exactly.
smell it."
Yeah, it's a totally different thing because they're a different person at school too. They're without you. So they
Yeah,
have different motivations, they're very independent
yeah,
without you. And they have to be. It's a whole other world. And so this is kind of coming back, isn't it, for them?
yeah,
It'd
yeah.
be really frustrating. And I met like friends of mine's kids are now realizing the enormity of it, the fact that they're just stuck at home all the time. They can't talk about the work with their friends just to kind of even develop ideas or try to come to an understanding. It's always talking to mum or dad, and they're like, "Oh, I want to go back to school." Who knew kids would want to go back to school? It's
Yeah.
fabulous.
I know. Oh, they just can't. I remember the first ever Christmas school holidays. So my daughter and I spent a lot of time together. I've never been gladder to see the back of anyone in my entire life. And she was exactly the same. We walked into the playground and I said, "See ya." And she went, "Yep, see ya." She's 6. "See ya." I wasn't even 6 at that time. Starting grade 1, didn't even turn 6, go, "See ya." And off I went, and off she went.
Yeah, you
Yep.
both had enough.
Oh, just totally had enough. Who do you, like teacher-wise, who do you
Yeah.
remember?
I remember my music teacher, and this was a lot later because she introduced me to lots of music. They were quite young. They were a couple, Anne Dwyer and her husband, and they'd come from Melbourne, and they seemed really cool. They had lots of CDs, and she was a piano teacher and a music teacher, and she kind of showed me lots of things and showed me a way of thinking that I hadn't experienced before. All of a sudden the world just kind of opened up. Like they played me Tom Waits's Blue Valentine record because we were studying West Side Story. You know the song, "There's a Place for Us," and then she played me Tom Waits's version, "There's a Place for Us," and I was like, "Oh my
Oh,
God," blew my mind. I was like, "What is this? How is this even real?" And that just sort of opened a lot of doors because that, remember, same as you, regional country town. We were 6 hours away from the closest capital city. There was no internet. So being offered these little gems was so special. And you just, you just have like explosions in the mind every time. And it was awesome. And she was
oh
great
yeah.
for me
I,
in that respect, her and her partner.
I remember that feeling of just,
Mm.
Margaret Ryan was my third form music teacher, and she played us "Threnody to the Victims of Hiroshima" by, oh God, I've completely forgotten his name now. Uh, Penderecki, thanks. Helen's
Ah,
in
yeah.
the other room. Christoph Penderecki. And it's 11 minutes it's just bonkers.
Yeah.
But I heard music. Music is essentially to me noise with intent. And I heard music, and I think everyone else in the room just heard a
cacophony.
A cacophony, an indecipherable cacophony. And the beginning of next year, Nigel Bates introduced me to Joy Division, Disorder, the first track off Unknown Pleasures. And I just went, oh, I get this. And I realised it was what Margaret Ryan had played me. They're poles apart.
Totally. If anyone put them together, they'd go, there is no way this could be a gateway drug for this. But it can be. Explain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the Penderecki's full on. It's like heroin being a gateway drug to barley sugars. Like, it was so intense. And then Joy Division are just, I mean, there was a lot going on with Joy Division, but nothing compared to Penderecki. But I thank her to this day. And occasionally I'll play it to people and they'll just look at me like, yeah, so that's why you're like you are, right?
You know what? I can't think of it off the top of my head, and I'm sure I've heard it, but I feel like I need to hear it, and maybe
maybe sit with the dog so that you've got something nice to cuddle, and don't whatever you do, take anything mind altering.
Oh, really?
Oh, don't.
Well, that's all I've been doing in lockdown, as you know.
You know, the worst day of my life creatively was because when I was young, I used to read a lot of novels with people who took drugs, and they said how they wrote automatically on drugs.
Oh, sorry.
And
there was a bit of vocals there. Continue that. There was a bit of vocals there from an ad, yeah.
So I'd read a lot of books by people who wrote them while they were high and on mushrooms and things. And I remember taking mushrooms for the first time. And I remember going up to my room, and we'd had a jam just before that.
Of course he did, a jam.
I'm so glad it wasn't recorded because it would have been so shit. But I went up and I got my exercise book out and I started writing, and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, and I was seeing the words, and the pencil was just like a direct line from my brain through my arm. It was just, wow. I read it the next day. It was the biggest piece of shit ever. And I just went, oh no, I'm not going to be able to just take drugs and write amazing novels. I was so sad.
You are not William S. Burroughs. You are not.
No, thank goodness. I've avoided shooting anyone's head off.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Dark days. Oh, God.
Well, particularly for the person who had no head.
Yeah. Isn't that weird, though, how we just excuse that behaviour? Like, there's been, like, all these excuses being made for possibly horrific people because they were creative geniuses. Yeah. And now we're like, hang on a minute, that's really messed up. And how did that, like, why do we sort of, it's just brush it under the carpet. Let's just forget about that side of it.
Exactly. Like, for instance, if Poe, wonderful Poe, who's back on MasterChef.
On MasterChef, I love Poe. I'm obsessed with Poe.
If she shot her husband's head off accidentally, we would be upset. I don't think she would get away with it.
No, as lovely and as wonderful as she is, and as loved as she is,
I think she'd go to jail.
Probably. How come he didn't? Do we know?
No. I for the life, I cannot. Next time we talk, I'm going to investigate this.
Yeah.
And I just So He was on drugs, and I think he was trying to shoot an apple off the top of his wife's head.
Oh God.
Because that's what you do.
I'm just typing in. I'm finding something that I know you will enjoy, Alan. You know those diets and daily routines that you see in the newspaper?
My day on a plate.
My day on a plate. Do you want to have a listen to Hunter S. Thompson's Day on a Plate?
Yes, please.
This is unreal. This was printed back, I don't know when. Okay. Hunter S. Thompson's daily routine is both predictable and outrageous. There we go. 3 p.m. rise. 3:05, Shivers Regal with a morning papers, Dunhill cigarette. 3:45, cocaine. 3:50, another glass of Shivers, Dunhill. 4:95, that's not even a time. I don't care. I assume that's 4:05. First cup of coffee, Dunhill. 4:15, cocaine. 4:16, orange juice, Dunhill. 4:30, cocaine. 4:54, cocaine. 5:05, cocaine. 5:11, coffee, Dunhills. 5:30, more ice in the Shivers. Good to know he's topping up on the ice. Needs water in the diet. 6 o'clock, some weed to take the edge off. 7:05, Woody Creek Tavern for lunch at 7:05 p.m. A Heineken, 2 margaritas, 2 cheeseburgers, 2 order of fries, a plate of tomatoes, coleslaw, a taco salad, a double order of onion rings, carrot cake, ice cream, bean fritter, Dunhills, another Heineken, cocaine, and for the ride home, a snow cone, which is a glass of shredded ice over which is poured 3 or 4 jiggers of Shivers. 9 p.m, cocaine. 10 p.m, drops acid. 11 p.m, chartreuse, cocaine, grass.
You've started, you might as well finish.
11:30, cocaine. Midnight, Hunter ready to write. He's ready to write. That's good to know. 12:05 to 6 a.m, chartreuse, cocaine, grass, Shivers, coffee, Heineken, clove cigarettes, grapefruit, Dunhills, orange juice, gin. 6 a.m, in the hot tub, champagne, Dove bars, fettuccine Alfredo, man after my own heart. 8 a.m, halcyon, sleeping aid, of course. Yeah, man, you've got to get to sleep. 8:20, sleep. How good's that?
There's so much right about that, but my favourite thing is that he'd taken Coke twice before having coffee. So he obviously thought, oh, what I really need after the cocaine is a little pick-me-up. Oh, well, Miff, enjoy the new dog.
Thank you.
And we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I love this every week, so thank you. Love your hair as well.
Oh, thank you. Right back at you.
And let's not be like Hunter S. Thompson, okay?
No, I don't drink coffee.
Well played, sir.